Hello there, I'm Josie. I'm a food and eating psychology coach and founder of The Mindful Cook. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you one of my absolute favourite things to do, which is to create my own nutritious, delicious chocolate at home. It really is a super simple thing to do, and if you just know a few tricks, then anyone can produce beautiful chocolates from the comfort of their own kitchen. Now, if you caught one of my previous videos where I shared some of my favourite ingredients, then you might be familiar with cacao powder, or raw cacao powder as it's sometimes termed in the health food industry. And essentially this is the dry powdered product from the cocoa plant or the cacao plant. And it's naturally packed with minerals, magnesium, zinc and iron, and antioxidants, which are also known as polyphenols. So it really does pack a great nutritional punch. The other very basic ingredient in the process is cacao butter. Now this is essentially the fat from inside the cacao bean, and you can buy it in a beaded form like this, which is really easy for cooking. One thing to note is if you are going to buy these ingredients and try it at home, always look for food grade products, because things like cacao butter are also used in beauty products like shampoos and things like that. So food grade, always look out for that. So they really are the two very basic ingredients that make up a beautiful chocolate. And it really does make a very rich chocolate. And the natural polyphenols in the cacao plant and the fermentation process really do produce quite a bitter chocolate. If you're a fan of dark chocolate, then you'll no doubt be familiar with that quite bitter taste to it. So if you just put those two things together and left it as it is, it really does produce quite a bitter tasting chocolate. So I use a natural unrefined sweetener as well. This particular one is one that I absolutely love. It's a coconut honey. It's one that I use in my chocolate making kits and in most of my recipes. I've done a lot of chocolate making and I have found this to be the best one. But you can also use other plant-based sweeteners like maple syrup or agave. All of those are natural plant-based sweeteners, so make for a really nice vegan chocolate. So these chocolates are vegan, they're gluten-free and they're dairy-free as well. So that's your basic ingredients. And then if you want to kind of pep it up a little bit, you can also use some flavorings. I like to use, again, food grade, natural essential oils. This one is a wild orange. That's what I'm going to use today. It's absolutely delicious. You can also use mint, cardamom is another one, or if like me, you like kind of flowery things, then rose is also a beautiful addition to chocolates. So you can have a bit of fun and play around with it. In terms of your equipment, all you're going to need is some lovely silicone molds, again, food grade for your molds. And just a point to note is if it's shiny on the inside, if your mold is shiny on the inside, that's going to give you a shiny chocolate. Whereas if your mold is matte, and you can get lots of matte ones, that's going to give you a matte chocolate. And you can get lots of different, lovely shapes and sizes. This one's heart, so it's really nice to do. And then you're going to want to set up what the chefs call a bain-marie, which really simply is a decent sized saucepan with about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water on the bottom, and a glass or Pyrex bowl that you can just sit in, that will just drop in nicely. And the important thing here is to make sure that the bottom of your bowl isn't coming into contact with the water underneath, because what we're going to do is just gently steam these lovely butter beans just so that they melt gently. Two really important things to note in the chocolate making process. One is heat. Okay, so we never want this to go to boiling, the water underneath. We always want it to be really nice, low temperature, but warm enough to just help the chocolate to melt down to liquid beautifully. If it gets too hot, then your chocolate is going to do what the chefs call seize, which essentially means it's going to go granular. It's going to kind of come out very grainy. And once it's got to that point, you can't really get it back again. So low and slow, as I'll show you as we go through. And the other thing is just make sure all of your equipment is squeaky clean, that there's no particles or anything like that in your bowl. I'm just going to pop this back on again because it's just warming up nicely, ready for us to make it. So a little water on the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're just going to bring that water just up to the point that you see a few, you just start to see the bubbles slightly interrupting it, and then we're going to turn it off, okay? And then other utensils that are very, very useful for the job is to have a small spatula. These are called magic whisks. They are absolutely perfect for chocolate making. Again, something I swear by and have in the chocolate kit. You want a tablespoon for measuring out your sweetener and a good soup spoon that's just going to help you to kind of take it out and put it into your silicone molds. As I said, this is really, really simple. The recipe is pretty fail-safe. You can find the recipe on my website, themindfulcook.co.uk. And as long as you follow those key rules, heat, and make sure that there's no steam or particles getting in there, then you should make perfect chocolates every time. So we're going to start off by just melting down the butter. So I'm going to put those cacao beans into the Pyrex bowl, and the water is just nicely warming up underneath. And we're just going to really slowly melt those down to liquid. And it's a really nice, mindful, slow thing to do. And the other wonderful thing about making your own chocolate is that within no time at all, the kitchen will be smelling absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. The butter has such a lovely aroma to it. Wouldn't try it on its own because it is just purely fat, but it does have that lovely kind of chocolatey aroma to it. And of course, once you add the powder as well, then you're going to have everybody from around the house flocking into the kitchen to see what you're up to. So just to recap on the butter, you want to be buying a food grade cacao butter. It comes in droplets like I'm using here, which just make it much more easy. It's quicker to melt down to liquid. Or you can also buy it in block form, and I just tend to kind of cut it off very carefully with a knife. So we're just going to gently move those beads, those butter beads around until they melt down beautifully. Okay, so that cacao butter is now liquid, and I'm just watching, keeping an eye on my water underneath through the bottom of the bowl. I can see that it's just under a boil, so I'm just going to turn it off. If in doubt at all about the temperature, just turn it off, because you can't go wrong that way. You can always heat it up a little bit more later. So you've got your cacao butter to liquid. And it's this point we're going to add any flavourings that you'd like to use. So I'm going to use a lovely food grade essential oil, and this one's wild orange. So if you've got a nice food grade essential oil, probably only need about 2 to 3 drops in there. I'm just going to mix that in. This is the absolute beauty of making your own chocolate at home. There's no nasties in it. You know exactly what's going into it. And it's also at this stage that we're going to add our natural sweetener. Now, the more sweetener that you add, this is very good, coconut honey, but it does tend to thicken. As you add the sweeteners, it does tend to thicken, particularly more so with agave. This is a pretty good one, like I say. I normally add about a tablespoon. The thing to do is give it a go, see how sweet you like it. Once you get used to the flavour of this type of chocolate, you'll get an idea of how sweet you like it. So just use your judgment and play around with it a little bit. But I'm just going to add a good tablespoon and mix that all in and make sure that it's lovely, well mixed in and down to a nice mixed liquid. I'm just going to pop my heat back on again now gently, because it's well below the boil. And then we're going to add in our cacao powder. Now at this stage, you want to be quick and sure. So we've got the lovely liquid butter and the other ingredients in here now, and we are going to very quickly add in our powder and just keep whisking it as it goes in. And what you should start to see emerging before your eyes is this beautiful, shiny liquid. Just whisk it in really, really well so that all of those ingredients are combined and that there are no lumps in your chocolate from the powder. Beautiful. Okay. Now I have quite hardy fingers, but what I would advise is that you use a tea towel or something else to help you when you take hold of the bowl, because it's likely to be hot. But you can probably see there that that's beautifully soft and shiny. Also at this stage, just be careful that you don't get any steam in your chocolate mix as well, because again, that can cause it to seize. So really, that is how simple it is. That's all done now. So I'm just going to move my other utensils out the way, get my silicone mold at the ready, and I've got my soup spoon. And I'm just going to spoon the beautiful chocolate into the molds. Look at that. It is just delightful. It is such an enjoyable thing to do. And as I said, it really does make your kitchen smell amazing. You can create them as gifts. You can create them just for yourself. And it really is such a healthy indulgence, you know, and far, far better than anything you're going to buy off the shelf. So I'm just gently spooning it in to my molds. And then what we're going to do is we are going to tap the mold gently and pop it taut, and then we're just going to put it into the fridge. And you really want to be leaving them in the fridge for about 10 to 12 hours. I'm, you know, quite well practiced at this now, but just be careful when you're handling the bowl and making sure that no steam's coming into contact with your lovely mixture, and obviously that you're looking after your fingers as well. So what I have here is just about enough to make, you know, a full set in the molds, which is 15 chocolates. Absolutely stunning. They really, really, really are delicious as well. But like I say, just play around with your sweetener and flavourings and see what you like. So once it's in, just gently give it a tap so that it knocks any air bubbles out of it. And then that really is it. That's all you have to do. We're just going to pull the mould taut outwards, open up the fridge door, pop it on a nice, clean, flat shelf, leave it in there for about 12 hours, and then enjoy your wonderful chocolates. Good luck. I hope you enjoy it.